Well, hello, guests from all around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today for this very special presentation about secrets of the Egypt and Nile. We are very excited about today's presentation and the information that we will be sharing with all of you about this beautiful destination, which you can now sail with Ama Waterways. And today we have very special guests with us here today. We have our very own Kristin Karst, our co-founder and executive vice president, who is just back from Egypt. Welcome, Kristin.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm so excited to really see you virtually all today again after, a few months, weeks of traveling, including Egypt and Jordan, and we want to discuss this today. So fresh back from this travel, very excited about the future, and we have a wonderful participation today. So thank you so much for spending the hour together with us.
And we also have here with us today Todd Ney, our product manager for Africa, which this includes Egypt and our beautiful South Africa cruise on the Chobe River. Hello, Todd.
Hi, guys. I'm excited to be here. I haven't done a webinar in a while, so great to see everybody again.
Absolutely. And we also have a very special guest of honor, Laurel Bersenhan. How are you today? You have graciously accepted. I know you just recently traveled with Christine and Rudy on the beautiful AmaDahlia on the Nile River, and thank you so much. I think one thing is for us to tell you how beautiful this product is. Another thing is for you, Laurel, to join us and tell you about your personal experience. Welcome. Hello.
Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to be able to talk about the trip and about Ama in general too.
Lovely, lovely. And Christine, please take it away with your opening remarks.
Well, thank you so much, Janet and Laurel and Todd. I couldn't be happier to be surrounded by, such wonderful people. Thank you for joining us today. And to you, all our travel advisors, a huge thank you to you. Because one thing, what I learned when I was on board the Ama Christina in September, and we had 68 of you joining us for a beautiful trip on the Rhone in France. Almost everyone was telling me that you joined this fem trip based on the webinar Wednesdays that we have done with you over the last 16 months. So that means, all of these things that we are doing here to get connected with you, to engage with you, to inspire each other, to sparkle, to feed on our positive energy, all of this is paying off. And guess what? Right before this webinar, I was already preparing with the team the next fem trips and seminars on the river in early 2022. So we look forward to a wonderful, bright future with all of you. Again, your support means the world to us.
Thank you, Christine. And I think we're about to start this wonderful presentation. And Todd, we're going to begin with you as our resident expert on our Secrets of Egypt and Nile River itinerary. You've been working so hard on this itinerary, and I think this is just a taste of the wonderful photos we will be sharing with everyone on this presentation, but you can see lots of smiles and just really amazing experience. So Todd, please take it away.
Sure, thanks, Janet. Okay, so what I'd first like to talk about is the program itself. 12 days long, begins with 3 nights in Cairo at the beginning, 7 nights on the Nile, and then back to Cairo on the way back. The program is definitely a 5-star program. We think of Egypt as a place that, since our childhood, it's a place we want to see. And everybody, I honestly have to say, is Egypt is a destination that everyone should see at least once in their lifetime. The program also has pre and post extensions. We have a pre-extension to Jordan, we have a pre-extension to Dubai, and we have a post to Israel. I also want to say Dubai itself, because of the demand, we're doing pre as well. We're going to offer post extensions starting in 2023. Let's talk quickly about the extensions. Of course, the extensions are short, anywhere from 3 to 4 days long. First one is 4 nights in Petra. We also have 3 nights in Dubai, and then we have 4 nights in Jerusalem at the end of the program.
And this is a beautiful image of Petra.
If I may say, for me, I mean, going to Petra and actually first going to Amman, and Laurel, this is where we met, of course, because you had spent already an additional night with our guide in Amman and explored the city. And then we were transported with a nice van via the Dead Sea to Petra, to Jordan. So you all know, it's not known precisely when Petra was built, but the city began to prosper as the capital of the Nabatean Empire from the 1st century BC, and which really grew rich through trade and spices. And of course, it was later annexed to the Roman Empire and continued to thrive until a large earthquake in 363 AD destroyed much of the city in the 4th century AD. Now, when you go to Petra today, what is so impressive is that you really, literally, you go into a former world, a previous world, with all these rosé stone buildings, and you just imagine how these people lived there and traded there and what all happened there. It's full of mystery. You know, we had a choice to get transported down to the treasury either by horse or in a golf cart. We choose actually the golf cart. We should have maybe done the horse, right? But there is something where I feel so cruel about horses and all of this. So, but it was great. And, you know, I always say this is the time to travel now, because there was almost no international tourism there. And you were pretty much alone with all the sites. And some of us were riding camels, but everything was like, for me, so touching. I have goosebumps right now when I talk about, and also the people, the locals, all of them, how they greeted us, how they were curious about us, how they wanted to explain everything about Petra. For me, Jordan is actually the safest country in this part of the world, the Middle East part of the world. Flying to Amman on Royal Jordanian was just a pleasure. Everything was very smooth, the meet and greet process, the visa. And that goes back to you, Todd. Kudos, you and our suppliers who really have every detail hammered out. And I can tell you, all our travel partner, you are in the best, in the safest, and in the most luxurious hands when we go down to this amazing part of the world. But I also want to let you know that one of my favorite moments was the day later when we transferred during sunset to the desert, Wadi Rum. And our driver would make a fire for us there and would make tea. We would have this, and we were all together watching the sunset. And the desert surrounded by the mountains. I have seen so many different deserts in this world, but this was by far my most favorite one. And then, of course, we went to a Bedouin tent. We have a beautiful dinner there, and off we go back to Petra, where we stay at the Mövenpick Hotel. But I know, Laurel, I don't want to take anything away from you. My swimming buddy, I can say so too. We always met in the morning, you know, at the swimming pool or in the Dead Sea. We were floating together. We both love swimming. And there were many opportunities there. So, Laurel, take it away from here.
Okay. Well, my experience, it was just an incredible feeling, and it's something you can't duplicate. And if you're a floater, you may need assistance getting back up on your feet, but that's kind of part of the fun. Everybody had to help. For some people, it was probably the first time they had actually been able to float. It was quite exciting at that point. We didn't have time to do the whole mud thing, but we certainly got the floating down.
And I must say, ladies, this was a very hard presentation to put together. We had, you know, as I was listening to you speak, we had so many images that describe your wonderful experiences, and we're just at the we haven't even arrived on the ship yet. So beautiful experiences, and we have so many more pictures to share with you. So if you would like to talk about Cairo, Todd, first, and then we could move on to the pyramids as well.
Sure. Cairo, capital of Egypt, and massive city, 23 million people. The Nile, you can see this is downtown Cairo. It's kind of a busy, chaotic city. That's the Nile River that flies through or meanders through Cairo. The Nile itself, about 4,300 miles long, starts with the Blue Nile and the White Nile up in Ethiopia and up by Lake Victoria. Of course, it's been a place of navigation for thousands of years. In Egypt, or in Cairo, we're spending 3 nights at the Four Seasons, and we'll talk about that later. We include all the highlights. We've got the pyramids, we've got the ancient Egyptian museum, which is kind of what I wanted to bring out. A lot of people ask, will we be going to the new Egyptian museum? And the answer is yes, when it's open. But it's been delayed a lot over the last several years, but hopefully by 2022, it will be open. And some guests do ask, well, when it opens, will we get to still see the things from the old museum? And the answer is yes. Everything in the old museum will be transferred to the new museum, including the King Tut exhibits, which is, of course, a highlight of the trip.
And Todd, if I may say so, when I look at this picture, I always think about my most magical moments sitting on the Nile River, having dinner at the banks of the Nile, watching the sunset and listening to the prayers, and having this wonderful Egyptian food. Like, Laurel, I mean, it is so amazing. And, you know, you were a solo traveler. I was going there as a solo blonde woman, I can say, right? You know, Rudy didn't escort us there. So in fact, actually, most of our group were ladies, solo traveler ladies. We all came together there. And females are traveling a lot. That's for you, our travel agents. Look at all your mother, daughter, grandmother groups, girlfriend groups, all of this. They are safe in this part of the world where we are together. And I can really not think about anything better. And Laura, you're from Canada. I also want to say this because I know that our Canadian friends always have a little bit of concern. Where can they travel right now? We still are in COVID times. What about insurance? All of these things. But you did it. You were actually our first Canadian traveler with us on the first maiden voyage. Do you want to say just quickly something about this?
I just went by everything that was given to us. At the time, Ontario, where I live, didn't have a Q code for the PCR, but they did have papers. So I actually personally went to a notary and got the papers notarized because they're easy to change. QR code you can't change, but something else you could. So I thought I'd just cover all my bases and make sure that I had that I had the letter that said that I had health plans that covered COVID, which is one of the things that you kind of have to worry about, because I believe it was both Jordan and Egypt that required that proof that you were going to be covered. So it wasn't as difficult as it appears to be. I couldn't get any of my visas because everything was closed. We were still in semi-lockdown when we went out.
And you got everything, of course, when you entered. So everything was prepared. And I know you had a wonderful travel agent with CAA. And so everything was like in good hands, right?
Oh, it was fabulous. And the people that meet you at the plane, because I came in a day before everybody else, that gentleman met me. He took all my paperwork and everything. That was it. I just stood back and let it all happen. So they got everything going, and the same thing happened on the other flights too. That there was always one person who just took care of everything. So there was no worry at all. I don't think anyone had any difficulty.
And I
They
think that's
even
an important thing you just said, Laurel. You're never alone with Alma Waterways, right? And I think you ladies arrived all, as solo travelers from different areas around the world. I know we had guests even from Ecuador join during this cruise. And so, but the moment that you arrive, like at the airport, what Laurel just said, at that moment, you see someone from Alma Waterways, they will greet you and they will be with you and to ensure that you are taken care of and you're going to the right places where you're supposed to be, right?
Just makes my heart very happy when I see them.
They even picked fresh figs for you. I know that, and they welcomed you, and those are the best figs in your life, right? You said.
Oh, I'd never had fresh figs before. I didn't know what they looked like. There were some in my room. I thought there was some sort of strange apple thing. And when we were on a tour in Amman, I didn't go all the way up to the castle. We stopped on the side of the road and we talked about the castle. And while we were doing that, the driver went and picked figs and washed them for us. And so I had fresh figs right off the tree. Now I'm having trouble finding them in Canada.
Well, and I know one of my favorite pictures, Christine, from your trip, I talked about, putting this together, is from the pyramids of Giza. Can you tell us a little bit about this experience?
Yeah, this is now in Cairo where we met, of course, the rest of the group, because most of us ladies were with our group in Jordan, and then we flew from Amman to Cairo, and that is where all the other passengers were joining us. Now, not everyone decided to ride a camel, right? That is just a few of us here. And there you see some males as well. There you even see Rudy in the middle. He came to Cairo. But for me, the most amazing thing and that's what you see, there were no people, there were no tourists. We were the only ones with a few locals in front of the pyramids. And there was a couple from our group, Laurel, Emily actually, and they wanted to go into the pyramids, and I had been inside already. And I was saying to them, or I was asking the guide, is this even a good idea? Because crawling inside the pyramids, it's where the air stands still, and maybe in COVID times they shouldn't do it. But there was nobody crawling inside the pyramids except of us. So it was absolutely safe and beautiful.
Yes. This is in our to-do list, Christine. We have to do this. All of us do.
Definitely.
And so, Laurel, I know you had a wonderful experience, and you wanted to talk to you a little bit about your experience in the Four Seasons Hotel at First Residence.
Right. Well, it was a beautiful hotel. It had a wonderful rooftop swimming pool that Christine and I enjoyed as often as we had with the pools in Jordan. We made full use of them. This pool was open from sunrise to sunset, so the timing on it will differ when you travel, I suppose. And then all our rooms had this lovely view of the Nile. I was just above the pool, so I got to see out over the Nile across the pool. And it was a beautiful experience and really well appreciated at the end of the day in the desert.
Yes, absolutely. And Laurel, I believe we mentioned this in the beginning, but you traveled to Egypt, on your own. And I know, many women these days and males, everyone around the world right now, they really feel empowered. They want to travel, and maybe, their friends and family don't. And so it is a wonderful time right now as a solo traveler to experience these beautiful journeys. Can you tell us a little bit about, how you felt throughout the journey, and if you ever felt alone?
Well, I certainly never felt alone. As you can see, the group is there. If you wanted to be alone, you had to go to your room. But I've traveled solo with Ama Waterways before, and every crew member looked out for me the whole time. So I trusted Ama to provide the same kind of caring environment, and they certainly did. We had ship security that we have on every ship, as well as having a member of the local security department with us from the time we got on the bus until we returned to the ship every day. So there was always one person who was, I assume, counting heads all the time and making sure that nobody got lost, nobody got, into something that they couldn't get themselves out of, because there was really nothing to worry about. I didn't even worry about wearing my backpack and my money and everything in that backpack. There were some people, I saw some young people who were obviously traveling the world, who were wearing backpacks on the front. But I never worried about it, and I don't think any of us did. We were all carrying things and not really worrying about it. But there's always somebody around, and as I say, you just always felt really safe. We always had 2 or 3 speakers. So if we needed something translated, there was somebody who spoke Arabic who could, help us with negotiating something with some of the vendors and things like that. But you're never alone, and there's always something to do. If you want to go just sit in the lounge by yourself, that's great. Everybody's got something they're doing and being. And I can honestly say on any of the trips that I've taken with Ama, I have never felt unsafe at any time. Even if I've been left on my own, I've chosen. Somebody has been waiting on the gangplank to meet me, to make sure that I got on the right ship, because they knew I was out there by myself in Amsterdam. So, people are watching for you. And that's just a wonderful feeling. Ama is really my family now. And I think I have 7 more trips planned right now. We're working on the rest of them.
Big part of our family, Laurel. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. And now, of course, after the beautiful days in Cairo at the Four Seasons, it was time to go to the airport in Cairo and fly to Luxor. So this is about a 1-hour flight on very modern aircraft on Egypt Air. And we arrived in Luxor, that was late morning, got transferred to our port. We also have our own ports in Luxor, where only our ships are docked. And right now we own, together with our Egyptian partner, one ship, AmaDahlia, but we see already the booking pattern, how popular it is. So guess what? Maybe we are planning to build another ship because you are asking for, right? But you see here, beautiful AmaDahlia. It is the queen of the Nile. Everyone, every crew member, all the others, they really call this ship this way. It's an inviting 72 passenger ship, offering 20 spacious staterooms and 16 magnificent suites with a wealth of amenities that will surprise and delight, including a heated sun-deck swimming pool, a bar. We have our chef's al fresco restaurant. I would say it's probably the most beautiful chef's table restaurant from all the ships that we have and own, the only one outside. And because it's always dry and warm in Egypt, we can do it. An amazing atmosphere there. But there's also a hair and a nail salon, a hairdresser, facials, 2 massage rooms, but also back to the suites. So we have grand suites. They are 430 square feet large. Our master suites are 400 square feet large. The SA and SB cabins, the majority of our staterooms, those suites are 370 square feet large. And I can really say so. The first French balcony stateroom is 226 square feet large. So really a high luxurious ship, everything carefully crafted, designed in kind of Egyptian and partially also Nubian style, our chef's table restaurant, but also quite modern when it comes to your taste from today's day. So a beautiful mix of everything. You know, just back to the chef's table, one of our favorite nights, and I just mention it because you see Laurel in her beautiful blue gown and a cartouche. We had a gift shop where they would do the cartouches for you, and I'm wearing my galabaya. So that was, and Todd, of course, your hat. One evening we have a galabaya night, and we do this outside in the chef's table, traditional Egyptian cuisine. And if you don't want just Egyptian cuisine, we have fantastic Mediterranean, European cuisine, Western cuisine as well. All the choices that you are used to from AmaWaterways, accompanied by the finest Egyptian and Jordan wines. And if you were part of our Egypt webinar more than a year ago, Todd, that we did together, we talked about the viticulture, how everything started in this part of the world more than 3000 BC. Now today the wines, the grapes are imported from either France or South Africa. They are bottled in Egypt or Jordan. And then of course you can taste all the great different wines. So yeah, Laurel, I don't know, what was your favorite moment?
Gosh, I think I enjoyed the sun deck the most. I swam almost every day, and the views that I enjoyed from the sun deck, just, I mean, you can see it, just will stay engraved in my memory. The massages were a big hit with all the guests and much sought after the end of a day's adventures. There was always a lineup for that. And I can't really say enough about the fabulous crew who took care of us on board. You barely had to think of something and it would appear. Like, in the whole itinerary is just unforgettable. I never thought I would ever be able to see these things in a safe, pleasant, happy environment and enjoy them so much. And the people and the crew were just fabulous.
Thank you. And I know it was a very, very busy schedule. And I know, Todd, you would like to say something about.
Something, yeah. Firstly, what I did want to mention is that on this program, there's 72 guests on the ship, but we split you up into 20 to 25 people per group. And that small group, you get your own Egyptologist for the whole trip, from day one when you arrive until you depart. So it does feel like you're traveling with a small group. And the Egyptologists, they're absolutely wonderful. They're university educated. They have a special degree in Egyptology, so they really know what they're talking about. And they'll open your eyes to a world that, you know, we're somewhat unfamiliar with. And one of the places that they'll take you is the tomb of Queen Nefertari. Queen Nefertari was the first queen of King Ramses II. She married King Ramses at the age of 13. He was 15 years old, and she lived to the rightful age of about 45 years. And in those days, that was a long time, even though King Ramses probably lived between 65 and 90. And very, very few companies do include the tomb of Queen Nefertari. And why? It wasn't even open to the public until really the 1990s. It was kind of left aside. But for anyone to get into this tomb now, you actually need a private reservation. And honestly, our cost to go in per person is $130. And that's why other companies won't include it, because of the price, but it's included with us and AmaWaterways.
Wow, and this is the Presidential Palace, another just special highlight for AmaWaterways, right, Todd?
Yeah, the Aberdeen Palace, sometimes they call it the Presidential Palace, built around 1860. This is when foreign dignitaries come. This is where they actually stay. So it's a historic monument. It's in the center of Cairo. And what we do there is, again, it's not included with other operators. Again, it's the cost, $125 just to walk into that tomb. And again, it's included with AmaWaterways, but we take it one step further. We actually have a private lunch in the palace after you tour the palace itself.
Wow, and that is one of my favorite moments too, just being, you know, so from our AmaDahlia, we go in small groups and take a felucca ride along the Nile River. We go to the banks of the Nile. This is actually Aswan where we do it. It has an island. We go around the island. We go to the Cataract Hotel. If you like, you can join high tea there. The Cataract Hotel is famous for Agatha Christie, of course. Everything around the movie, the book you must have read. So just enjoying the sunset there, or you can take the felucca back to our ship, but just a few people on, and you come so close to really the banks of the river and everything what you see there. It's just stunning fairy tale. Yeah, so always my favorite. And Laurel, what was your favorite? Oh, the Nubian village before.
Yeah,
That
it is
is,
Nubian.
of course, right. I mean, we go to Philae Temple as well. I mean, we see so many temples along the way, but I'm a child of the water. For me, a temple that is right on the water is just something that is always so inspiring for me. And from the temple, we go up to a Nubian village where we are greeted with hibiscus tea and just a bright smile and a family with their children, and they show us their home, and we have the most beautiful, beautiful view from up over the entire landscape and many, many Nubian villages. But I think, Todd, you selected this one because it was the most untouched, not touristy yet, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know who the Nubians are, and they actually came from the Central Sahara maybe about 8,000–9,000 years ago. You would look at the Nubians as the indigenous of Egypt. They were here first, and they settled in southern Egypt along the Nile, as well as northern Sudan. And one cool thing I always like to point out is if you look at that home, look how pretty it is, how colorful it is with the drawings and the sketchings and so on like that. Doesn't really mean much to us. I think I see an alligator or a crocodile on that wall and some triangles and stuff. But to the residents of that home, that's actually telling them the history of the family that actually lives in that home. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. And I know, Laurel, you love the logs. Tell us something about when the ship was passing through the logs and the vendors, right?
Yeah.
Because at the markets, we didn't want to come too close to everything because of, you know, still COVID. So the vendors would be creative. Tell us about this.
Well, as we're passing through the locks, it was just such fun because the local merchants, as you can see in the photos, would bring their small boats up to the side of the ship and toss their wares up to the sun deck for us to look at and purchase. And then you could throw them back down if you didn't want them, or throw back the bag with the money in them. They were very assertive. And if anybody knows anything about American football, they could toss those things like you would not believe. And they could actually like get it right where they wanted it. If they were talking to Christine, it would go right to Christine. If they were talking to me, it came right to me. It was just such fun to see something so different. And these people this is how they made their living. So it was great. And I think they made a fair amount off of us that night.
They did, just because they were so their skill set, right? And we just wanted to give them something. And I know you also have a tip, like bring a lot of $1 bills, right? Laurel, talk about all of this.
Right. So I have a lot of things. So I'm going to read this one because it does have a lot of things in it. Certainly bring a lot of $1 US bills, or ones 5, small numbers, because they come in really handy when you're buying like small, beautiful little souvenirs when you're in the markets. And the vendors are really very happy to have American money. And don't forget to bargain, like bargain everywhere, including the store on the ship. It's expected to do that. I splurged on this beautiful personalized gold cartouche, Egyptian cartouche, with hieroglyphs that spell my name, and then on the back is the alphabet, and I just love it. And it was bought from the shop on board the ship. They had a terrific assortment of really lovely merchandise, some very expensive, some less expensive, but you could still bargain as you went through, and you would, decide to buy your cartouche at night. They would take all the information. the next day it would be there for you and you paid for it. So there was no waiting around for days and being afraid you'd never see anything. They did that. If you have one of those heat reducing neck scarves, they're really a great addition to your gear. I could not find them when I left Canada. I found them now for the next time, but they're fabulous because it's really hot sometimes. You know, that depends on what time of year you're going. And I think we hit probably one of the hottest times they have. So that's really good.
True. I mean, the seasons is our summer months between June and August, and we were there in late August, early September. It is the hottest time, but it's dry. And we had guests from Florida on board, right? And they said it was actually, they felt more comfortable than in a humid climate in Florida at the same time of the year.
Yeah, no, it definitely was dry, but you were hot. You know, I mean, we had hats and stuff, but you were still hot. Didn't matter where you were walking in the desert. It was quite warm. I should have read up a little on the places I was visiting. That would have been helpful just to know where we're going. But the Egyptologists were fabulous in their historic knowledge, as well as explaining present day life in Egypt. I mean, it's really great to have all that history, but it's nice to know what those people are living right now, that's part of their life. I also have a folding walking stick that I took with me to help with some of the longer walks. They're not kidding when they say they're long walks. That's really it, and it's certainly not on the gentle side. So that just helped me get through some of the places that have rocks that are not so stable along the way. And definitely watch the weight of your luggage, as the small planes have restrictions. And we did a lot of switching around with luggage to get through there. Also, leave room for souvenirs, even if you think you're not going to buy anything. I didn't really expect to buy anything, and I ended up having a second suitcase once we got back to Cairo. We went out and got got a second suitcase. So you do need to really watch that.
Yeah. So as you said this, it can be hot in this part of the world. So when you go in these summer months, definitely bring some cotton dresses, cotton pants, cotton shirts with you. It's the easiest on you. Some scarves. Even so, you do get a beautiful scarf on board from us as well. But the scarves always come handy, especially for the ladies when you go into more religious sites to cover your shoulders. Have then some longer skirts and pants, and both ways to protect against the sun, and you know, but the same way to really respect the people and the religion there. Good walking shoes. In any case, very good walking shoes, flat, no high-heeled shoes. I left them at home. You don't need them. Not on the ship, not even during a nicer evening night. It's not about the shoes, lady, on that trip, right? And but we also learned, Laurel, like if you don't want to go when it's so hot, that we could even have snow in Petra in the months of February, right? So if you want to see, and that's actually what I would love to see next time, Petra and snow. So if you wanted to go during the cooler months, that would be January, February, March, or October, November, December.
Right. And if you don't have enough, you know, if you feel like you're not bringing enough, the laundry service is impeccable. It was fabulous. So you don't need to bring, you know, a dozen pairs of slacks. You can do it with 2 or 3 quite easily.
Yes.
Christine, I know you wanted to review some of the travel requirements, but we've received a question on this beautiful image of Wade and Leo up above, and where exactly are they on that image?
So this is in Aswan at the Cataract Hotel, where we are having the high tea. So this is the only optional excursion, but it's so versatile because when you look up online what a high tea at the Cataract Hotel is by itself, and of course we go there with the felucca, and they reserved the tables for us, you know, outside with the best view to the Nile and the sunset and listening to the prayers. So yeah, that was this very, very special afternoon.
And so I think we also wanted to review with our guests the travel requirements. I think both of you have touched upon how easy it is to arrive. And Todd, you've talked about how we've simplified the entry procedures, and we really do take care of everything for you. And so we just really wanted to ensure that our guests and our travel advisors watching this know exactly what is it that they need prior to departure from their home country to arrive to Egypt.
Yeah. So AMA Waterways requires all our guests to be vaccinated, and Egyptian authorities require all travelers to have a negative PCR test with a stamp from the issuing laboratory. So please check the details on our entry requirements page on our website, amawaterways.com. Everything is listed there. Also, when you get your final documents, look at all the details, what you need. So, and we recommend having a printed copy of each of the below. So your original CDC vaccination card. And now, because again, what was then maybe 4 weeks ago is not necessarily anymore what it is today. So the QR code, the internationally recognized QR code, is becoming more and more important. So make sure you have it. Your river cruise itinerary, your flight ticket. You know, when I was flying actually from Frankfurt via Istanbul to Jordan, in Istanbul, they even wanted to have my ticket, how I fly back from Amman to Cairo. I had to show everything. So have everything handy, as well as your printed negative COVID-19 PCR test result, again, with the stamp of the issuing laboratory, and our support letter, which is part of your final documents. So recommended as a safeguard, additional layer of peace of mind. You can use the free app from Clear. Clear, you probably are familiar with Clear. When you go to the airport, there are the TSA lines, the Clear lines. But the Clear app is a free app. There you can upload your vaccination certificates, and it's creating a QR vaccination code for you that is internationally recognized. But we still strongly recommend getting this PCR test for entry, as it is more dependable. And even when we left from Cairo airport, I was flying to Barcelona, others would fly to Frankfurt, all of this. And officially, it didn't even say, I went with my passport, that I needed a QR code. I actually did, I did a PCR test just because I went to our next ship, and the PCR test really what was requested. Otherwise, I probably would not have received a boarding pass. And we do facilitate these tests on board. So Todd, maybe in case you want to say something about how we facilitate it. And we deliver it actually to you with the print in a beautiful envelope.
Okay, yeah, we will provide a test for you. The cost is $100 US, and that you'll get the test so it coordinates with your departure time. So if it's 72 hours or 48 hours, you'll get your results the day, most likely the day before you actually fly home. I should also mention that to make things simplified for you, when you go to Jordan, we do include the visa. And when you come to Cairo, we've got this new service. It's sort of a VIP pass that you can get through at Cairo Airport. And that $35 will include your visa as well as the VIP service at the airport. We're finding that guests are having a difficult time applying for their Egyptian visa online because you've got to download your passport photos and so on. So we thought, and then if you arrive on your own without this VIP service, then you got to go through the hassle of getting in line to get the visa, then over to the immigration. But the way we've got it now is you'll get off the plane, you'll go through your health screening, and there is the AMA rep waiting for you before immigration. He'll hand you or she'll hand you your visa, put it in your passport, and away you go. There's no paperwork, there's nothing that you need to worry about. And you can book that now with AMA by just calling in and saying you want the visa for Egypt, and our customer service res agents, they'll add it onto your booking, $35. That includes the visa and the VIP pass.
And
Wow.
I have to tell you, both Rudy and I tried it out in a different way. Todd had asked Rudy to get his visa before to apply online, and he had asked me to trust him and to get the visa at the border, you know, when entering the country. I have to say, Rudy never got a response back. And, you know, got then his visa finally at the border, of course, and I knew I would get this at the border. Everything was already waiting there for me, ready. So you can trust we can do it at the border online, not online, at the border for you, exactly the same way Todd just described.
Yeah, actually, we recommend that. Get your visa on arrival with the VIP service. It will just make things, as Laurel said, your hand held the whole way through the trip. Nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So much valuable information. I know I personally have learned a lot from this presentation, and I just wanted to remind everyone listening in, all of this information is included at amawaterways.com under travel requirements. We know this is a lot of information to absorb, a lot of very inspirational photos that hopefully will allow us all to start checking off Egypt off our bucket list. I think if I've learned anything is check this off your bucket list, Janet, as soon as possible. Trust a travel advisor and let AMA Waterways take care of everything for you.
And
so
Janet is the to-do list now, right?
Yeah, no, it's gotten up in my to-do list. I'm just, you know, I feel like I'm just taking a journey into Egypt. I've learned so much, and I'm just so inspired. And hopefully, you know, I could have the pleasure of joining. We have so many comments around these beautiful images, and so many travel advisors and guests that will be joining us very soon. They're just so excited to join AMA Waterways, like Laurel has done, and experience the beautiful Nile River with AMA Waterways. And so before we conclude this presentation, this is the part where we're talking to you, our travel advisor partners. Many of you have talked about these beautiful images that we have presented here today. And I'm very happy to report that we have a new and updated social media toolkit for you. And yes, it includes the image of Christine. Everyone was talking about your images, Christine and Laurel. Beautiful images that you have seen here are included in your social media toolkit. We also have a beautiful piece that you can share with your clients, along with this wonderful video that will be included in our email on Friday. But if you check the handout section of the webinar Wednesday, you'll see there's 5 handouts there for you. And as always, you can find all of these tools in our travel advisor portal. And so we are almost at the end. We've received so many questions, and we would like to get to some of your questions. I know, you know, we're coming up past the hour, but we've had some incredible information and education that we have provided all of our attendees. But we wanted to give you a little preview into next week's webinar Wednesday, where we will be discussing springtime, sailing in the spring. You know, as international travel is opening up for everyone, not just Americans going to the Europe, but in November 8th, we've all heard that, you know, we will open up and, you know, it's really great to see the health authorities are really blessing international travel again. This will definitely increase the confidence for your clients to come and travel with us. If they can't join us during Christmas markets this year or Egypt this year or next, they could definitely, we have some availability in the spring, and we'll be talking about some of our recommended itineraries next week. So please join us. Don't forget to add us to your calendar. And so we come, lots of questions for you, Laurel, lots of questions for you, Christine, and I know I'm going to try as much as possible to get through all of these. But Laurel, for you, we have our friends from Canada. I want to address our first question, and they mentioned that you did have insurance, I believe, correct? And
Yes.
you had, it seems like if you were very prepared, and so they just wanted to know, you know, did you obtain your insurance as well from your travel partner, and if you have details on what insurance that was exactly.
I could have gotten it from my travel partner. It was CAA. I could have put it into my whole package. As it turned out, I checked with my my union, and theirs actually had that. it was worded rather strangely. So I thought I've got to do something better. So I went to Canada Life and got nothing but COVID insurance for that period of time. I think it cost me about 300 and something, but if you're younger, it won't cost you that much.
Well, and that's a small price to pay, I think, for peace of mind when we travel these days. Next question, this is for all of you. If you have recommendations on when is the best time to travel, and I'm going to combine these questions. Do we have availability? I know some of our travel partners and guests have, really they want to travel either very soon or next year, and they just want to know when is the best time to travel, and where do we have some availability for next year?
Todd, do you want to say it? Because I know you're running the reports every day.
So the best time to visit Egypt, I hate the heat, and some people love it. I'm not a big fan, so I would go anytime, November, December, January, February, or March. Starts to get warmer after that time. In terms of availability, 2022 is pretty full. We do have space later in April, May, and June, as well as early September. And then for this year, the first couple of weeks of December, there is space if you want to sort of make a last-minute sprint to Egypt. Call in the first couple of weeks of December, and there will be space.
And Todd, I just want to add the week of Christmas next year. So many of you have talked about groups and taking family groups. You want to enjoy this destination with your family. What a way to celebrate Christmas on board. And not only is it in December, a cooler month, but we do still have some availability for Christmas next year. So for our travel advisor friends, if you want to secure a new group business, we do have that week available next year, because I think the rest of October, November, December, we're pretty full. And I think for next year, May and June look some like great dates to secure some groups for those dates as well.
Yeah, and we're also planning 2024 very soon. So people are planning far ahead. We'll be ready for you in a few months. And I have to admit, first time I ever went to Egypt was on vacation, and I did it over Christmas. And I just actually thought, it was great. And even though I said the first 2 weeks of December, there's availability, we do have space over Christmas and New Year's this year also.
Great. The one question I did receive was about the beautiful video, and it is available in our YouTube channel. So please check our YouTube channel. If you want that video to share with your family and friends, please check our YouTube channel, and that video is definitely there. But unfortunately, we did have to end this wonderful presentation. I don't want it to end, but we are going to have to come to the end of this presentation. And Christine, if you could please honor us with the closing remarks.
Well, first of all, I want to say we are getting back to all of you, to answer your questions. So please know that every single question will be answered. Second, Laurel, I want to thank you so much for being our guest today. First of all, it was such a pleasure to travel with you. Actually, you even have a little plush bear Tico who traveled with us as well on a good mission. And we really, really appreciate everything. Cannot wait to welcome you and all of you, our travel partners and your guests on board. It is a fabulous, fabulous part of our world. As Janet and Todd said in the beginning, you have to travel there at least once. And, if you feel we offer you too much, because you probably need a vacation after your vacation, because the program is really fully packed, but we want to show you everything. And it's up to you to pick what you would like to see. Always see it this way. And I can only say the story continues. There is so much more that we have in store for all of you in the future. The future looks bright together, and we cannot wait, to what all these wonderful next years bring to all of us. So my heart is filled with gratitude for everything you do, our teams do. Laurel, I look forward to seeing you soon on board one of our ships again. And here is to all of you. I don't have anything to toast. It's not a sip and sail now. I become emotional, but I am just so happy that you know, everything will continue so well into the future. Thank you. Bye everyone, until soon again.